Hello there, this is Maths lesson, and today we are going to learn about length and perimeter. Previously in your year 7, you are introduced to length, and you are told that length means or refers to the distance between 2 points. For example, if we have point A and point B, the distance between point A and point B is referred to as the length. You are also introduced about perimeter, and you also learn that perimeter is the distance around the outside of the shape. For example, if we have a shape of a rectangle, let's call it A, B, C, D. This rectangle have points A, have points B, C, and D. The distance between point A and point B is what we are referring to as the length. Also, the distance between point B and point C is also referred to length. But then the distance all around the rectangle, that is from point A to D through point B and C, is what we are referring to as the perimeter. That means you're supposed to move from point B all the way to C, then to D, and finally to A, back to A. All this distance round the rectangle is what we are referring to as the perimeter. So this is what we mean by perimeter, the distance all around the shape. So we are giving an example of a rectangle, but we have different types of shapes, and we want to remind ourselves of the different shapes that we know of. So the other shape is what we call the square. Square has all sides equal. Square has all sides equal. And to show that all sides are equal, we normally use the same type of markings. The same type of markings you can use. You can choose to use 1 dash or 2 dashes, but they must appear in all sides. This is what we are referring to as a square. We also have another shape, a triangle. We have different types of a triangle. This is a triangle. A triangle is a 3-sided figure, and it can be a right angle triangle, meaning one side is 90 degrees. This is what we mean by a right angle triangle. We also have an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle has 2 sides equal. It has 2 sides equal, and we are saying that for us to show that 2 sides are equal, you must indicate by the markings, the 2 dashes or 1, but they must be the same on both sides. We also have another triangle that is scalene triangle. Scalene triangle means all sides, there is no side that is equal to another. That is a scalene triangle. We also have a parallelogram. A parallelogram has 2 opposite sides parallel. Has 2 sides parallel. 2 opposite sides parallel. That means we must indicate by markings of the same nature to show that 2 opposite sides are parallel. We also have rhombus. So this is a parallelogram. We have a rhombus. Rhombus means all sides are equal. All sides are equal, but they are also opposite sides being parallel to each other. So to indicate that both opposite sides are parallel, you use the same markings. This is rhombus. Rhombus, we have said that all sides are equal. We also have an important shape, that is the circle. This is a round shape, we call it a circle. So I've given examples of the plane figures that will help us to understand how to find out the perimeter. So before we find the perimeter, we have said that length is measured using a particular unit. And in Australia, the unit that is normally used is using the metric system, that is normally the meter. So length is measured using the unit that is called meter. So we are talking about measurement of length. We have said length, we normally measure using a meter. So we also need to understand how to convert, because we normally have different units. We have a kilometer. We have a meter. We have centimeter. And we have millimeter. These are different units of length depending on this distance or depending on the size. For example, if you're talking about a very long distance, use a kilometer to measure that distance. But if you're talking about a very small distance, then we can use a millimeter. What is the difference between a kilometer, a meter, a centimeter, or a millimeter? You realize that kilometer is bigger than the meter, and the meter is bigger than the centimeter, and the centimeter is also bigger than the millimeter. So this is for us to be able to understand how to convert, because at one point you will be required to convert millimeters into centimeters or into meters or even to kilometers. This is how we are supposed to understand how it goes. Kilometer is the first one, followed by the meter, followed by the centimeter, and then the millimeter. So if you are moving from a millimeter, because this is the smallest, you need 10. You need 10 millimeters to be able to convert to 1 centimeter. 10 millimeters make 1 centimeter. If you are at a centimeter and you want to get meters, then the difference between 100 centimeters, 100 centimeters will make 1 meter. If you are converting meters to kilometers, then you need 1,000 meters to get 1 kilometer. You need 1,000 meters to get 1 kilometer. So how do we go about it? If you are told to go from kilometers to meters, and then meters to centimeters, and centimeters to meters, what are we supposed to do? So this is what happens. If you are coming from kilometers, going to meters, then to centimeters, and millimeters in that order, this is what you are supposed to consider. Because here we have said there's a difference of 10. Then from centimeters to meters, there's a difference of 100. And from meters to kilometers, there's a difference of 1,000. You multiply, there's 1 meters, 1,000 meters make 1 kilometer. Then if you are moving from this point from millimeters to kilometers, you are supposed to divide. You are supposed to divide. So you are supposed to divide here from kilometers, from meters to kilometers. This is the direction. You divide. If you are moving from millimeters to centimeters to meters to kilometers, at every point you are supposed to divide by 10 if you are moving from millimeters to centimeters. Then from centimeters to meters, you are supposed to divide by 100. And then from meters to kilometers, you are supposed to divide by 1,000. But if we are supposed to go from this other end, because a kilometer is bigger than a meter, then we will also still use the difference of 1,000, but this time round we will be multiplying. This time round we will be multiplying, because we are changing from kilometer, which is a bigger value, than the meters. That means the meters that we are expecting will be more than the kilometers, so we multiply by 1,000. It will be the same case with meters. We also multiply by now 100. We also multiply by 100. And then from centimeters to millimeters, we multiply by 10. We multiply by 10. What are we saying, in short? That 10 millimeters is equals to 1 centimeter. We are also saying 100 centimeters is equals to 1 meter. And from our chart on the table, on the board, we are seeing that 1,000 meters make 1 kilometer. So that means if you are supposed to convert, these are the values that we are supposed to use. Let's look at an example. Let's look at an example. Let's look at an example. An example is this one. Convert 3 meters into centimeters. How are we going to convert 3 meters into centimeters? You can check on the board and see which one will be appropriate for us. Is it 10 millimeters? Are we going from millimeters to centimeters? Or are we going from centimeters to meters? Or are we going to 1,000 meters? I mean to meters, from meters to kilometers. You realize that where we are supposed to be is at this point here. Centimeters, meters to centimeters. So the question that we are supposed to ask ourselves is, are we coming from meters to centimeters or centimeters to meters? In other words, the question that we are supposed to ask ourselves is, are we going to multiply or are we going to divide? How do we know that we are going to multiply or we are going to divide? We have said that if we are moving from a larger value to a smaller one, you multiply. If you are moving from a larger value to a smaller one, you multiply. And we have said kilometers is higher, followed by centimeters, followed by meters, centimeters, and millimeters. So because we are moving from meters to centimeters, then at this point we are told there is a difference of 100, then this is what we are supposed to do. We are going to multiply. So we are going to multiply. So this is what we are going to do. We say 3 times 100, which will give us 300 centimeters. Now we have changed to centimeters. This is what we are supposed to change to centimeters. We are working from 3 meters to 300 centimeters. Let's look at another example. Let us look at another example. So that is at 300 centimeters. Let's look at another example. We are told to convert 35 millimeters to the value in brackets. Convert 35 millimeters to the value in brackets. So we are asked to convert 35 millimeters to centimeters. Again, we are supposed to go back and check. This is millimeters going to centimeters. Because millimeters is the lesser value compared to centimeters, then this time around we are going to divide. So here we are going to divide by 10. And we shall have the value is 3.5 centimeters. So we have our answer. The answer is 3.5 centimeters. That is converting length measurements from one unit to the other. Now, we are supposed to find now that we know how to convert units from one to another, we are supposed to also understand how to find the length round the shape. How to find the length around the shape. So for us to be able to understand, we have looked at the different types of shapes. The plane figures. If we are given a figure like this is, and we are told this is point A, this is point B, C, and D. This is 6 centimeters, and this is 3 centimeters. We are told to find perimeter. If you can remember, we said perimeter is the distance all round. So we are asked to find the distance round the rectangle. So what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to, because we said this is a rectangle, and rectangle opposite sides are equal. So these are the things that we know supposed to know about the objects or about the shapes. A rectangle opposite sides are equal. So even if you are given one side, you are not supposed to say that we are not given the distance between B and C, because opposite sides are equal for a rectangle. So what does that mean? It means that point B to C is also how many centimeters? 3 centimeters. What about point A to B? We are told this is 6 centimeters, and that also refers to point CD. So that means this side is also 6 centimeters. So because opposite sides are equal, we can add all through. We can add for us to be able to get the perimeter, because we have said the distance round the object, we are allowed to add through. We say 3 plus 6 plus 3 plus 6. Our units will be centimeters. So if we add all round, you realize that what we will have will be 18 centimeters. And that will be the perimeter. We have added all round. We have 18 centimeters. What we realize, if we can rearrange our sum here, you realize that we have 2 of them. We also have 6, the 2 of them. So we are saying, instead of repeating 3, 3, 6, 6, for you to be able to get the perimeter of the rectangle, you can say, because in the rectangle we have said, this one is normally referred to as the length, and this side is also referred to as the width. So you can say the perimeter of a rectangle is given by 2 into length plus width. 2 into length plus width. How are we getting this one? Because we have said that we have the length, in our case this was 6 centimeters, and width, which was 3 centimeters. So because we are saying 6 plus 6, we can just pick these 2, add them, and multiply by 2, because it also refers to the same side. It is 3, and it is also 6 centimeters. So that is what we mean. For example, instead of adding 3, 3, 6, and 6, let us substitute it in our formula, where length refers to, L refers to length, and width, W, refers to the width. So let us substitute in our formula. You realize that you shall get the same value. Our length is 6 from here. Our width is 3. What do we get? It will be 2. When you add the values in the brackets, we have 9. Then now it is 2 into 9, which will give us 18 centimeters. So you realize that length you can add all round, but because this one is tiresome multiplying, we have the formula, the perimeter of getting the formula of getting the perimeter of a rectangle is 2 into length plus width. What about a square? What about a square? We know, we have said that a square has all sides equal. A square has all sides equal. And we show that by all the markings being the same. So assuming that is 4 centimeters, this is 4 centimeters, and that is 4 centimeters, that means the square is 4 centimeters all round. The unit of the square, or the measurement of the square, is 4 centimeters all round. For us to be able to get the perimeter of the square, we say 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Because remember, we have said it is the distance all round the object. So the distance all round this object is all this one, this, and this. So we have 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. If we add them correctly, we realize that we get 16 centimeters. 16 centimeters. But to make our work easy, because you realize that we are repeating 4, 4, 4 all through, we can as well say that the perimeter of a circle, of a square, is 4 times the side. 4 times the side, because you realize that for a square, there is no length or width, because all the sides are equal. Because all the sides are equal, we call it the side. So we can say 4 multiplied by the side. So we can substitute in our formula the value of our side, which is now 4 centimeters all round, is 4. We shall be getting the same value, which is 16 centimeters. That is how we are supposed to calculate the perimeter. That's how we are supposed to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle. What about the perimeter of a rectangle? What about the perimeter of a rectangle? And our rectangle this time around is a right angle triangle. So we have 4. These are the measurements. We have 4, 5, and 3. So to find the perimeter of the triangle, we add the 3 sides. And our side, one of them is 4 centimeters, another side is 3 centimeters, and another one is 5. If we add them correctly, our value will be 12 centimeters. So that is the perimeter all round the triangle. We add the 3 sides. Now, if you are given a figure, like this, you are told to find the perimeter of the shape. So let's look at this shape. We have a certain shape like this. So these are not the same. length. We have a figure like this. We are told that is 3 centimeters, and here is 4 centimeters. Then you are told to calculate the perimeter all around the figure. What are we supposed to do? You realize that this side is not given. The measurement of this side, the length of this side is not given. You also realize that the length of this side is not given, plus the length of the other side is also not given. So what you are supposed to do, this is 2. What you are supposed to do, if you find yourself in this manner, in this place, is that you are supposed to look at the markings. We have said these markings speak a message. They speak a message to us. So what does this say? We are told that this and this are equal. The markings mean they are equal. So then, if this is 3 centimeters, then that means here is also 3 centimeters. That is also 3 centimeters. What else can we get from the information that we are given here? We use the information given to get what we are not given. So you realize that the distance from here to here is equal to the distance from here to here. What are we saying? That if you can extrapolate here, if you can extend that line so that it continues, this line continues, you realize that the shape that we will get here will be a rectangle. And what did we say about a rectangle? We said a rectangle, opposite sides are equal. So that means this side here and this side, they are supposed to be equal. How do we know this side? This one also will form another rectangle. From here down, this is another rectangle. So then if this is another rectangle, then it means that also this side and this side are equal. So this is also 3 centimeters. So if this is 3 centimeters and this is 3 centimeters, we can add the 2, and what do we get? 6 centimeters. So that means this is also 6 centimeters, because as we said earlier, a rectangle has opposite sides equal. This side and this side must be equal. That's why we are saying this one must be 6 centimeters. Which other area, which other side that we don't know? We have been told that this is 4 centimeters, this is 2 centimeters. So that means we can be able to get the value of this side that is missing. How do we get the value of the side? We say we can also extrapolate this line so that we connect that way. When we connect that way, we know that this one will also form a rectangle. And this rectangle has this side being 4 centimeters. That will also mean that this side will also be 4 centimeters. But because we have already 2 centimeters here, we say 4 centimeters minus 2. What do we have? We'll have 2 centimeters here. So that when we say 2 centimeters plus 2 centimeters, we get 4 from this point to this point, so that they are equal to that other point, to that other side. So then if this is 2 centimeters and we realize that this one is also another rectangle, then what do we know again about a rectangle? Opposite sides are equal. So this is 2 centimeters, meaning this is also 2 centimeters. That's also 2 centimeters. So if we look at our figure, we now have all the sides. We now have all the sides, with the measurements of all the sides, and we can comfortably calculate the perimeter. We can comfortably find the perimeter. So then how do we find the perimeter? We have said that perimeter is the distance all round. So for us to find the distance all round, we are supposed to add the measurement of all sides. So that is how, this is what we will do. We say 6 centimeters plus 4 centimeters of this other side, We also have 3 centimeters. This side, we have 2 centimeters here. We have 3 centimeters this other side. Remember not to forget this side. Plus 2 centimeters here. That will make the figure round, all the distance round. So if we had correctly, you realize this is 10 plus the other 10, we have 20 centimeters. So the perimeter of this figure is 20 centimeters. So you are supposed, if you are given a figure like this and you are told to find the perimeter, the first thing that you are supposed to do is to find the length of the sides that you are not given. Is to find the length of the sides that you are not given. And we have said how to find the sides of the length that you are not given. You use the information that you have been given. You use the information given to get what is missing. To get what is missing. Let's look at another example. Find the perimeter of the shape still. Almost the same. This is still 6 centimeters. This is 4 centimeters. And this is 3 centimeters. We are also told this is 3 centimeters. And we are told from this point down, so we are told this is 6 centimeters. This is almost the same as the other one. This is, oh yeah, we have calculated this one. Sorry. So let's try another one. Let's try another one. So this time round, this is another example. This time round you are given a figure and you are told to find the unknown length, but you are given the perimeter. The perimeter is 19 centimeters. And you are told to find the unknown length. The unknown length is x in our case. We are given this is 5 centimeters and the perimeter is 19 centimeters. What do? We have said the markings again are very important. You realize that we have the same markings of the triangle, meaning this is an isosceles triangle, because as we said in the beginning, an isosceles triangle has 2 sides equal. So if we have 2 sides equal, then we are supposed to say, if this is x, then this also will be x. So we will say x plus 5. What will it be equal to? It will be equal to the perimeter all round, which we are given as 19. If we add x and x, what do we get? We are supposed to get 2x. Then, because they are not the same terms, we cannot add 2x and 5. They will just remain that way. So we say 2x plus 5, we get is equals to 19. Then now we proceed to find the value of x. 2x plus 5 is equals to 19. What are we supposed to do from there? We're supposed to look for the like terms. Which ones are the like terms? 5 and 19. 5 and 19 are like terms. So what are we going to do? We put them together. 19, we bring 5 to this other side, and when you cross, this one was positive, when you cross to the other side it will be negative. So that will give us 14. And then what are we supposed to do? You divide every side by 2, both sides by 2, and we get the value of x, which is 7. So what is the value? What is the length of this missing side? 7. So that means the length of the missing side is 7 centimeters. That is how to calculate the length of the missing side. Supposing you are given a figure and this time around you're told to use letters to find the perimeter. This time around we are not going to use the numbers, we want to use the letters. So this is letter A, this is letter B, and that this is also equal to this other end. So we are told to find the perimeter using letters. So we have said again, this one refers to A, this is also equal to A, and that is B. So what are we supposed to say? We are also supposed to add the letters the way we add the figures A plus B to find the perimeter, which in our case will be, we collect the like terms. A plus A, it will give us 2A. And because A and B are not like terms, then we shall leave it at that. 2A plus B will be the perimeter of that figure. Same case with a rectangle, that was a triangle. If you are given a rectangle, still with letters, so this one you are not told this is A. You are supposed to find out. You're supposed to find out that that is A. So this is side A, and we are told this is equal to this side. And this side is equal to that side because they have the same markings. So then we have said this one will also be B, and this one will be A. If you can remember our formula, the perimeter of a rectangle we said is equals to 2 into length plus width. Then we will say 2 into length, which is A for our case, and width is B. What do we get? Because we cannot add A and B, since they are not the like terms, we cannot be able to add the two. It will just remain that way. The only thing that we need to do is to open the brackets by saying 2 times A will give us 2A, 2 times B, it will be 2B. So the perimeter of this rectangle will be 2A plus 2B. You can check and find that it is the same if you add all round without using the formula. That is A plus B plus B. If you collect the like terms and add them together, because A and A, they are the same, so you say A plus A is 2A, which will also give us, this one will also give us 2B. So that will be the perimeter of that figure. Given a square this is X. We are using letters to find the perimeter. The measurements are in letters. If you can remember, we said the perimeter of a square is equals to 4 times side. And we're saying we are multiplying by 4 because of the 4 sides that a square has. And we are saying these sides are equal. So we multiply by 4. 4 is a constant figure. We only change the value of s. So we substitute to our formula. Our side is given as x because this will be x, this will be x, this will be x. So we multiply by x. And what will that give us? It will give us 4x. You can again compare if you add the 4 and see if it will give you the same value. X plus x plus x plus x. That will give us 4x. That is how to find the perimeter of a figure or an object if you are not given, if you are given in letters and not in numbers. Because sometimes that is so. You are given in letters and not in numbers. The other shape that we want to look at is the circle. The other shape that we have not looked at is the circle, and that's what we want to see how to find the perimeter of a circle. A circle is a round object or a round figure which has a radius or a diameter. So diameter is the distance from circumference of a circle to the next through the center. The circumference is the distance between the circumference of the circle from one point to the other through the center. While the radius, this is the diameter, the radius is a half of the diameter. The distance or the radius is the half of diameter. So if we have a circle like this, then we have the diameter through the distance from the circumference of the circle to this other end, and then half of it we have the radius. How do we find the perimeter of the circle? Perimeter of the circle is normally referred to as the circumference. The perimeter of the circle is normally referred to as the circumference. So for us to find the circumference of the circle, we use the formula pi d. The circumference of the circle we find through the formula pi d. Circumference is abbreviated as c. So how do we, what is pi? Let's understand pi. Pi is represented as this and written as pi, that is pi. What is pi? If you find the circumference of the circle, given the circumference of the circle and the diameter of different circles, and then given the figure or the table, so given the values, This is the diameter of the circle, and this is the circumference of that particular circle. Then we are supposed to calculate the circumference divided by the circle. What do we get? You realize that if we calculate circumference divided by the diameter, we'll get 3.149. That is, it continues with the calculator. If that you calculate with the calculator, so many decimal places. If you divide also the circumference of this particular circle, this is circle A, this is circle B, this is circle C. If you now divide the circumference of circle B, that is 37.332 divided by 11.88, you also realize that you will get 3.149. The same case with the circle C. If you divide the circumference, you realize that you will get if you divide the circumference of circle D by the diameter of the circle of that circle, you will get the same value. Circumference divided by the diameter. So all the three will give us the same value. That is 3.149, 3.149, also 3.19. This 3.149 is what has been referred to as a constant that is called pi. Pi. So circumference divided by diameter gives us pi, which is equal to 3.149. So then for us to be able to get circumference, we multiply pi times diameter. So the formula of getting the circumference of the circle, the formula for getting the circumference of the circle is pi d. The formula for calculating the circumference of the circle is by pi d. Let's look at an example. Let's look at an example. Calculate the circumference of the circle. Circle has a radius 3.5 centimeters. Radius can go any direction from the center. Radius can go from any direction from the center to the circumference of the circle. So this one, though it is facing down, it's also the radius. It is 3.5 meters. We have said that the circumference is pi d. But we are given the radius. What are we supposed to do? What we are supposed to do is radius is, or diameter is 2 times the radius. If you are given the radius, you multiply by 2 to get the diameter. So what are we supposed to do? We say 3.5 times 2 to give us 7, which is our diameter now. Then we can substitute in our formula. .149 times 7. If we calculate that one correctly, it will give us to do decimal places, 21.99 centimeters. That is how to calculate the circumference of the circle. You can also say, instead of saying pi d, you are also allowed to say 2 pi r. In case you are given radius, instead of multiplying the radius by 2 to get the diameter, you can use this formula, which you realize that this 2 times r will give us the radius eventually. So we can use this formula, we can use the formula two times 3.149 times 3.5. If we calculate, again, you realize that it will give us the same value. It will give us the same value, 21.99 centimeters. That is the circumference of the circle. If you are given the diameter, you use this formula. If you are given the radius, you use the formula, and you will get the circumference of the circle. So pi, as also, because it has several decimal places, and because we know by reducing the number of decimal places, it causes an error. Pi you can use 22/7. 22/7 to refer to as pi. So 22 pi is also 22.7, which when you divide, it will also give us 3.149. So you can use 27 or you can use 3.14, depending on what you are asked to use when you are calculating. Let's look at another example. Still, you are asked to calculate the circumference of that circle. We are given the radius as 14 centimeters. So what are we going to use? We use the formula circumference is equals to 2 pi r. We substitute the values that we are given in our formula. This time round, we are using 22/7, and then we are substituting with our value 14 of the radius. If we calculate correctly, the reason why it is important that sometimes we use 22/7 is when we can be able to divide. We can be able to divide with a given value 7 and 14. You realize 14 divided by 7 is 2. Then we can now be able to multiply this 22 times 2 times 2. That will give us 88 centimeters. So you are allowed, you can use 22/7 or you can use 3.149 as the pi in your calculations. Given the value of pi, 3.14159, you are asked to write down the value of pi correct to 1 decimal place, 2 decimal place, or 3 decimal places. So, rounding off, one decimal place means we are supposed to have only one value after the decimal. So what we are supposed to do when you are rounding off, you go to the next one and then see whether it is above or below 5. So let us check if 4 is above or below 5. We realize that 4 is below 5. If it is below 5, then we make it to 0, so that the value that we will have will be 3.1. So our answer here will be 3.1. What if we are asked to round it off to 2 decimal places? We normally we count up to the second decimal place and then pass the value with 1. We go to the next value, check again if it is more or less than 5. If it is more than 5, we take 1 and add it to the second decimal value. But if it is not, then we leave it at that. So then our next value after the second decimal is 1, which is less than 5. So our answer then will be 3.14, because the third decimal place is less than 1. You are told to add it to 3, convert it to 3 decimal places. What are we supposed to do? You again look at the next number after the third decimal place. You realize that it is 5. It is 5 or more, so we bring 1. We had 1 here. And the answer will be 3.142. So today we have learned about the length and the perimeter of different shapes and objects. Those are plane figures. We have learned that length refers to the distance between those 2 points, while perimeter refers to the distance all round the outside the length of the figure. We have also learned how to calculate the perimeter of plane figures. Calculating the perimeter of a rectangle, we have said you add all the 4 sides And also for the square, you add all sides. We have also learned how to calculate the perimeter of a triangle, and because they are all plane figures, we have said what we do, we calculate by adding the length all round. We have looked at how to calculate the circumference of a circle, and we have said to calculate the circumference of a circle, you use the formula circumference is equals to pi d. And we have said, how do we get pi d? We get it by dividing circumference by the diameter. And the diameter can either be in a decimal place or in a fraction. That is either 3.1419 or 22/7. Thank you.